The media just declared Avi Loeb admits 3I/ATLAS is a comet. Skeptics celebrate. Believers feel betrayed. Except it never happened. Loeb's stance, unchanged, still ranks it 4 on his scale, still tracking 15 anomalies. The 180-degree turn is pure fiction. But while everyone fights over fake headlines, astrophotographer Ray is capturing something shocking: jets that vanish in minutes, an anti-tail defying solar wind for 1,000,000 kilometers, behavior no comet has ever shown. Ray's been photographing comets for years. He knows what's normal. This isn't. Let's dive right in. Let's cut through the noise and talk about what actually happened. In a recent News Nation interview, Avi Loeb made a statement that sent shockwaves across social media. 3I/ATLAS is most likely a natural object. Within hours, headlines erupted everywhere. Loeb admits defeat. Harvard astronomer reverses course. The skeptics celebrated. Believers felt crushed. But here's the truth. Nobody bothered to verify. Loeb said the exact same thing back in July 2025. Word for word, his position hasn't moved an inch. I know this sounds confusing, so let me explain what's really going on here. The Loeb scale, his ranking system for interstellar objects, still places 3I/ATLAS at level 4. That number is the key to understanding why this entire controversy is manufactured nonsense. Think of the Loeb scale like a thermometer for anomalies. At 0, an object behaves exactly like every other natural space rock we've ever seen. By level 2, you're seeing non-gravitational acceleration that doesn't quite match standard comet behavior. Level 3 is where Oumuamua landed, multiple persistent anomalies with no satisfactory natural explanation. Level 4, where 3I/ATLAS sits, requires even more red flags. Non-gravitational acceleration that breaks comet models, spectral signatures that don't match any known asteroid, brightness variations inconsistent with known materials, unusual shapes, trajectories oddly aligned with planetary orbits. That's not one strange behavior, that's an entire pattern of them. And this is where the media completely missed the point. When Loeb says 3I/ATLAS is most likely natural, he's following the scientific method. You always start with the assumption that something is natural until you prove otherwise. But keeping it ranked at level 4 means he's documenting serious, undeniable anomalies that demand deeper investigation. After the controversy exploded, Loeb published a clarification that should have ended this debate immediately. Back in October 29th, I flagged 8 anomalies of 3I/ATLAS, but by now the number grew to 15. Wait, stop right there. The anomaly count didn't go down. It went up. From 8 to 15 documented unusual behaviors. Does that sound like someone who's convinced this is just a normal comet? Loeb explained his reasoning. My standpoint all along was that we must consider the technological interpretation seriously because of the possibility of a black swan event. Low probability, huge implications to humanity. He's talking about the same principle that intelligence agencies worldwide adopted after September 11th. You can't dismiss low probability, high consequence events just because they seem unlikely. You gather data, you investigate, you stay vigilant. While everyone was fighting over fake headlines about Loeb, something genuinely extraordinary was unfolding in a backyard observatory. Ray, the astronomer behind Ray's astrophotography, was capturing images that challenge everything we thought we knew about comets. And I need you to understand something crucial about Ray. This isn't some hobbyist who bought a telescope last month. Ray has been photographing comets for years. long before 3I/ATLAS became famous. His channel documented comet after comet with professional-grade analysis. He knows what normal looks like. And according to Ray, 3I/ATLAS is anything but normal. The first thing that hits you when you see Ray's footage is the tail. There's a massive tail streaming behind 3I/ATLAS as it moves through space. And if you know even basic comet physics, that sentence should make your brain screech to a halt. Here's why this matters. 3I/ATLAS passed perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, weeks ago. It's now traveling outbound, away from our star. Solar wind and radiation pressure always push comet material away from the Sun. Always. This fundamental rule means comets travel tail first when heading outward. Every documented comet in history does this. 3I/ATLAS is flying with its tail behind it, pointing back toward the Sun. Against the solar wind, as if physics doesn't apply to it. This isn't a small tail either. We're talking about an anti-tail stretching nearly 1 million kilometers in length. To give you perspective, that's roughly 2.5 times the distance from Earth to the Moon. Skeptics will say anti-tails have been observed before. They're technically correct. A handful of comets showed small anti-tail features. But those extended maybe a few thousand kilometers at most, and solar wind obliterated them within hours or days. This anti-tail has persisted for weeks. It's 200 to 300 times longer than any anti-tail ever documented. And it shows zero signs of breaking apart, despite constant bombardment from solar wind that should be shredding it. Loeb specifically highlighted this. The most revealing data will likely involve the spectrum of the anti-tail jet, which stretches across 1 million kilometers toward the Sun. Measuring the speed and composition would distinguish between an origin from sublimation of natural ice versus a technological thruster. Read that carefully. He's laying out two possibilities: natural ice sublimation or technological propulsion. If it's natural, we should find carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and water vapor moving at hundreds of meters per second. If it's technological, the composition might look strange, and the exhaust velocity could be orders of magnitude faster. Early spectral analysis found CO2 and carbon monoxide, which sounds like it supports the natural explanation. But then they also detected something unexpected: nickel. And more importantly, they found no iron. That detail might seem minor, but it's profoundly weird. In nature, nickel and iron almost always occur together. Finding nickel without iron is like finding smoke without fire. It's not impossible, but it demands explanation. Ray's most controversial observations involve jets emanating from 3I/ATLAS, thousands of kilometers long. But what makes them truly bizarre is that they appear in different locations in consecutive images, taken just minutes apart. Ray believes we're watching the object rotate rapidly, seeing the same jet source from different angles as it spins. It's an elegant theory, but there's a massive problem. If these jets are physically moving due to rotation and disappearing completely before the next jet appears, then the material would need to travel at hundreds or thousands of kilometers per second. Normal cometary outgassing moves at about 0.2 to 0.5 kilometers per second. What Ray is suggesting would require speeds 1,000 to 10,000 times faster than normal outgassing. Nothing we know in natural comet behavior produces that kind of velocity. This creates a contradiction. A peer-reviewed paper analyzing wobbles in the anti-tail calculated 3I/ATLAS's rotation period at approximately 16 hours. But Ray's images suggest jets changing position in minutes. These two data sets don't match. So, what's actually happening? There are essentially three possibilities. The first explanation is that Ray is seeing atmospheric distortion, or artifacts from his image processing software. A physicist named Drew Doss wrote an extensive analysis suggesting exactly this. But here's what bothers me about that explanation. Ray has photographed dozens of comets over many years. He's intimately familiar with atmospheric effects. Would he really make such a fundamental mistake after all that experience? It seems unlikely he'd suddenly lose the ability to distinguish real features from optical illusions. The second possibility is that the image enhancement techniques are creating false patterns. This seems more plausible, but it raises another question. Why doesn't this happen with other comets Ray photographs? If his processing methods create false jets, wouldn't they appear in all his images? The third possibility is the one that keeps me up at night. What if both observations are correct? What if 3I/ATLAS has internal structure, maybe concentric layers rotating at different speeds? An outer shell generating the anti-tail spins once every 16 hours, but something inside producing these powerful jets rotates much faster. This would be completely unprecedented. No comet has ever displayed this kind of complex internal mechanics. But then again, no comet has ever maintained a million-kilometer anti-tail pointing toward the sun either. Here's what gets lost in all the arguing. Ray's not claiming to have proof of alien technology. He's reporting what his telescope shows him, and honestly admitting he doesn't fully understand it. That's exactly what good science looks like. Ray is saying something simple but profound. I've studied comets for years. I know normal. This isn't normal. When an experienced observer reports unprecedented behavior, dismissing it outright is just as unscientific as jumping to extraordinary conclusions. The correct response is to investigate, gather more data, and test multiple explanations. Loeb emphasized that definitive answers won't come quickly. Comprehensive spectral analysis takes time. Full data analysis won't be complete until after 3I/ATLAS makes its closest approach to Jupiter in March 2026. Loeb was clear. In the absence of a clear technological signature, I will revise the Loeb scale rank downward. But he also noted he'll likely never rank it at 0 or 1 given the documented anomalies, unless future data provides clear natural explanations for all 15 flagged behaviors. The investigation isn't over. Honestly, it's barely begun. And while media outlets manufacture controversy and skeptics claim premature victory, real scientists are doing the unglamorous work of gathering evidence and following it wherever it leads. That's the story here. Not Loeb flipping his position, not Ray seeing things that aren't there, but scientists, professional and amateur alike, confronting an object that refuses to behave the way our textbooks say it should, documenting anomalies, asking uncomfortable questions, and having the integrity to admit when they don't have all the answers yet. So here's the bottom line. The media told you Avi Loeb changed his mind about 3I/ATLAS. That was a lie. His Loeb scale ranking remains at level 4. His documented anomalies grew from 8 to 15. That's not backing down. That's building a stronger case for investigation. Meanwhile, Ray's telescope captured something unprecedented. A million-kilometer anti-tail defying solar wind for weeks, jets appearing and vanishing in minutes, and spectral signatures showing nickel without iron. These aren't minor oddities. This is behavior no comet in recorded history has ever displayed. The real answer comes in March 2026, when 3I/ATLAS reaches Jupiter, and we get comprehensive spectral analysis of that anti-tail. Until then, every observation matters. Every data point counts. Here's what I need you to do. If this video helped you cut through the media noise and understand what's actually happening with 3I/ATLAS, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below. Do you think this is just a weird comet, or is something bigger going on? Your perspective matters. Subscribe to Galactic Breaking News and hit the notification bell because this story is far from over. When that Jupiter flyby data drops, when Ray publishes his peer-reviewed findings, when those spectral results come back, you'll want to be here first. We don't chase clickbait. We chase truth. And the truth about 3I/ATLAS is still revealing itself. Stay with us.